Hello again. We are going to talk about volume of solids now. This is lesson 8.3, so let's get started. And again, you should have seen some of this before, but before we move on, I want to give you another important note on units, just like we did for area. We know, like before, we know that there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So how many cubic millimeters are there in 1 cubic centimeter? Well, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So that means that 1 cubic centimeter is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, but it's also 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. So you can see me taking that cubic centimeter and dividing it into its individual cubic millimeters, and there are indeed 1,000 of those there, some of which you can't see obviously, but if you were to spread that apart, that would be 1,000 cubic millimeters. And so in the same way, because 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, then a cubic kilometer would be 1,000 meters times 1,000 meters times 1,000 meters, which would be 1 billion cubic meters. Or in British units, it would be 1,000 million cubic meters, depending on which system of numbers you're using. All right, so let's talk about prisms. That's a picture of the Taylor prism right there, if you want to research that. To find the volume of a prism, all we're going to do is take the area of one base and multiply it by the vertical height of the prism. So it's going to be the area of the base times the height. If we have a rectangular prism, that area is length times width, and we'll multiply that by the height. If it is a regular polygon at the base, then the volume is going to be 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter of the base. Multiply that by the height, and you've got the volume. For a cylinder, it's going to be pi r squared times the height. All right. Now, if we're talking about pyramids, those are the famous pyramids. To find the volume of a pyramid, you're going to take 1/3 of the area of one of the bases, and well, there is only one base, so take 1/3 of the area of that base, and we're going to multiply it by the vertical height of the prism. So that's the generic formula right there. If it's rectangular, it's going to be 1/3 times the length times the width times the height. If it is a regular polygon, it's going to be 1/6 times the apothem times the perimeter times the height. And then if it is a cone, it is 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. And lastly, spheres and hemispheres. Again, this is a formula that you're just going to have to believe me on. The volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. Again, that's based on calculus. So the volume of a hemisphere, once you cut that in half, then the volume gets cut in half, and so it's only 2/3 pi r cubed. So that's a brief little reminder about volume. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you tomorrow.